Welcome to The Nation Diplomatic Dispatch, your window into diplomacy and international affairs. I'm Jessie Chahal. In this episode, we turn our attention to the growing relationship between Malaysia and Kazakhstan. And joining us today is His Excellency BULAT SUGURBAYEV, the Ambassador of Kazakhstan to Malaysia. Welcome, Your Excellency. It's good to have you in here. And as we were speaking a little bit off camera as well, both countries, both nations share so much in common. Let's begin with an overview. How would you describe the current state of diplomatic relations between Malaysia and Kazakhstan?
Thank you, Terima kasih. It's very good to be here. Thank you for having me here. Yes, I agree. There's a lot of things we share, and that led to, I would say, perfect diplomatic relations between our countries. Our government-to-government relations are perfect. There is no problems. Everything is on a very, very friendly and partnership level. And, there is a high-level exchange. The Honorable Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim visited Kazakhstan last year after, all of these COVID lockdowns and more than 10 years pause of, this people-to-people and political meetings. This visit was very important for us. In terms of political, again, there is no problems. Everything is very perfect. And in terms of economic and trade, the relations are growing, very good, restructuring after the COVID lockdown, but I'm looking forward to even more B2B, business-to-business relations.
We've seen definitely some concentrated efforts in area to boost trade overall, as you've mentioned, agriculture, so on and so forth, even AI in that mix right now. How do you see Malaysia's role in Kazakhstan's broader outreach in terms of Southeast Asia, and not just as a partner, but as a possible gateway into this region?
Absolutely. Malaysia itself as a market is a very important market for Kazakhstan. And as you mentioned, gateway, this role, we've seen Malaysia as a gateway since 1993 when we established diplomatic relations. Our first embassy to any area of Southeast Asia was placed in Kuala Lumpur. And it was covering all ASEAN countries in the region, which is already demonstrating how important Malaysia as a gateway to ASEAN is. As you mentioned, the economic relations, yes, there's a lot of potential in agriculture, in halal Islam, in Islamic finances, in trade and AI as well, in digitalization. And I believe besides developing, our footprint in Malaysia, Malaysia could help us access all ASEAN markets as well.
Now, last year, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, he made an official visit to Kazakhstan that resulted in a new momentum, a new sort of pace and steps towards building bilateral ties, particularly in terms of trade and investment, two key areas for both nations as well. How would you describe this significance of the Prime Minister's visit from Kazakhstan's perspective?
From Kazakhstan's perspective, it was a very important political visit for us, and the Honorable Prime Minister brought an important message to the President of Kazakhstan and people of Kazakhstan that Malaysia is our partner and we have to develop relations with Malaysia and ASEAN. And this year, as Malaysia is chairman of ASEAN 2025, we believe that it's very important for us to continue bringing this message both to Kazakhstan as well as from Kazakhstan to Malaysia. And we look forward to high-level exchange from Kazakhstan as well.
Now, outside looking in, from your perspective again, what value or what are perhaps the low-hanging fruit, as they like to call it in business, do you feel that Malaysia is able to work with Kazakhstan in terms of, to boost that area of trade and investment?
Absolutely.
What are the areas?
There is a lot of important areas. First is food security. Kazakhstan is a big agricultural power in our part of the world, and we supply a lot of food products to the world, and we look forward to supplying and investing to Malaysia as well. On Malaysia's side, Malaysia is very important E&E economy for us, as well as infrastructure development. We see how Malaysian ports and transport infrastructure has developed, and we want to follow this lead, as well as AI is something, our both leaders, President Tokayev and Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, they mentioned about middle powers, that we have to cooperate and partner to support each other in this, changing global arena. And that's I think the biggest message we should bring to the businesses, to see both markets and make profits from both markets.
There has been increasing talks as well about bilateral cooperation in halal trade, Islamic banking, and agriculture. These are areas where Malaysia has strong expertise. And while we've gone through some of that, but in terms of halal trade and Islamic banking as well, how is Kazakhstan looking to really work with Malaysia to advance these sectors?
First of all, Kazakhstan is recognized by JAKIM, and we have certificates that we are, our standard is accessible to the Malaysian market, which means we can develop our export of our raw materials, agricultural raw materials, to Malaysia, as well as develop the investment cooperation in this area. Same as we look forward to more Malaysian imports in agriculture. As you mentioned, Malaysia is a very big agricultural player. In terms of Islamic finance, I think Malaysia is one of the global leaders in this area, and we look forward to cooperating in this industry and bringing Malaysian expertise and Malaysian investors to our financial sector. For that reasons, we have created something that would be interesting for Malaysian businesses. It's called AIFC, Astana International Financial Center, that implements the common law in our territory. Which means, which is a British law, which means for Malaysian businesses, if they want to start business in Kazakhstan, they don't need to research the local legislation, the local language, and the local, including accountancy. They can use AIFC for well-aware, well-known common law, and they will be served in English language, and they can do all the accountancy, all the business processes the way they get used to, the Malaysian way, and still work with the Kazakhstan market. And if anything happens, if they are not happy with any proceedings, they can go to the court, which is run by 5 British judges, who would be the best people to run the common law in our territory. I think it's a more or less unique experience when there are 2 legislations in one country, in one nation, and Kazakhstan is this country. So you can do business both in Kazakhstan legislation and under common law.
That is unique indeed. And how has that gone so far in terms of the smoothing of the operations and the way around it?
What we can see is AIFC, the customer base of AIFC is keep growing. And after the COVID lockdowns, we see the progress is growing in the temps. The number of companies registering in AIFC at AIFC is also growing, which is the best signal that the legislation works well.
Well, Kazakhstan is also a key strategic partner for Malaysia to link Central Asia and Southeast Asia as well.
Exactly.
As we move further into 2025, well past that half-year mark now, how would you assess the progress that's been made since in terms of how Kazakhstan wants to build on the momentum of this particular linkage?
The most important thing is when the Honorable Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim visited Kazakhstan, the message was to political and to business circles as well. This is Malaysia and we can cooperate. And after the roundtables that were held in Astana, there were, I think, 350 US dollar million worth of contracts signed by MOUs signed by both delegations, which is a big number. It's together it's 700 million plus. So this is a big signal of potential that we can develop. As you mentioned, these 2 regions are quite important. Malaysia is in the heart of Southeast Asia and a founding father, one of the founding fathers of ASEAN. Meanwhile, Kazakhstan, on the other side of our geography, is in the Central Asian region, which is also strategically important, and its importance is growing in the recent years. Plus, Kazakhstan has free trade arrangements with countries like Russia, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, and Armenia, which means when Malaysian businesses registered in Kazakhstan, they can do business with these countries as in the same market. So Kazakhstan definitely provides greater access to Malaysian businesses, not only to our market, but also to the greater market of Central Asia and beyond. And in terms of transportation, Kazakhstan, the part of our culture were part of the Silk Way, the Great Silk Way, and part of our job, I would say, was to connect East and West, and we keep doing that culturally, economically, politically. For Malaysian businesses, it would be interesting to see that Kazakhstan could connect Malaysian businesses quickly, not only to China, but beyond. And there is a big potential in railway system development in this area.
Now, as we speak about business as well, Kazakhstan has introduced a new investor visa.
Correct.
That's aimed at boosting its appeal to international visitors, or rather investors, as well as to strengthen long-term business partnerships. That, of course, is an initiative that's been led by your Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Could you share perhaps with us the motivation behind this move and how that aligns with Kazakhstan's broader economic diplomacy goals in terms of building ties with countries like Malaysia and others within this region?
Absolutely. This move was part of our strategic program of enhancing Kazakhstan's investment and business climate. As we discussed, the AFC and all other efforts, all of this movement together is a strategy to make Kazakhstan convenient home for people and businesses, so that business could see our country and our market not only as a big market for themselves, but also as a jump start to engage into the region. And the Golden Visa initiative is basically addressed to make things faster and easier. You know, this time, in our age, time is the most important asset, so we try to cut the time expenses for the businesses to set up their business in Kazakhstan. You only have to invest 300,000 USD, which is not a big number, to obtain Golden Visa, and then you have all the, all the instruments to do business in Kazakhstan up to 10 years.
Out of the IFC and the visa that's being offered, what would you say if you could draw up a list of top 3 investors that you're looking for? And what has so far been sort of a challenge or an obstacle for entry into the Kazakhstan market?
First of all, I would say that Kazakhstan economy was designed back then as a raw material economy. Even now in 2025, the big part of our economy is production of raw material in mining, in agriculture, oil and gas, all types of resources. So what we are interested in is in bringing processing and value add in our country, so that we produce something more expensive and sell. This economic model would be more sustainable for our nation. And Malaysia is one of the countries of Southeast Asia which is a very well developed, the Asian tiger, with a lot of knowledge-based economy. And we look forward to these types of investments as well. As I said, the general philosophy of our country is we are very good investment climate for everybody. So everybody is welcome to live and do business in Kazakhstan. The business that brings technologies and job and value add would have extra incentives from the government, and this is to be discussed case by case, of course. And the government would be interested in subsidizing and helping and bringing more incentives for the technological and to the processing economies. The obstacle is always language. I would say territory, the distance before, but now AirAsia connects our 2 economies.
Talking about that
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll focus on the language. The difference is language, because we are same as Malaysia. We are a bilingual society, but our languages are Kazakh and Russian. Malaysia is Bahasa Malayo and English majority. What is happening in Kazakhstan now is the younger generation is learning foreign languages very vividly. Comparing to 20 years ago, if you go to Kazakhstan 20 years ago, you barely would ask for anything on the street. If you go to Kazakhstan today, you can speak, you can get coffee, anything, shop, groceries in English as well. And you will see that the population generally speaks more English. And I think this trend will be there as well. Not only English, also the youth is learning Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, all other languages.
Leave it to the youth anywhere in the world
Yes.
to learn new things and to really push forward that national agenda, so to say. But also on that note, with the youth and to entice them, Kazakhstan recently introduced a neo-nomad visa.
Yes.
That sounds interesting, Your
Well,
Excellency.
Kazakhstan is a very digital economy, and this is sometimes very interesting for the people from different types of parts of the world. If you go to Kazakhstan today, a lot of governmental services are provided to you through your smartphone, so you don't need to go to the office. And recently we are cutting down the services that would be provided face-to-face. So your national ID and passport would be obtained by you only by your smartphone. All of the, literally you can marry and divorce, register your kids, buy property on your smartphone. Our ladies, when they deliver children in the hospital, by the time she arrives home, she can click a button on her smartphone and the birth certificate is already issued. So we try to make things as fast as possible. Remember, time is the most expensive asset. And this is where we thought, why don't we bring talents? How we can bring more talents to Kazakhstan to develop this type of market is neo-nomads, is digital nomad, is when people, nomad is actually our lifestyle, part of our lifestyle. When we didn't have cities like centuries ago, our economy was based on the cattle and we were traveling a lot. That was a nomadic lifestyle. So we try to bring this philosophy to other nations. If you want to work in the digital area, travel to Kazakhstan, travel within Kazakhstan, feel, enjoy the freedom, because Kazakh means free in our language. Enjoy the freedom, be nomad, use this visa for any digital industry.
To embrace that and have that imprinted on your values as well, I think that is what will resonate with people outside looking in. Now, of course, Malaysia has a growing outbound source of investment in terms of businesses looking to expand their footprint. How can Malaysian companies or individual investors, for example, you mentioned a $300,000 million earlier in terms of the investment to go into business in Kazakhstan, $300,000. How can we turn that light and look at individual businesses or smaller scale businesses, individual investors, if you will? How can they benefit from this Golden Visa initiative, or is there something else for them to get into?
If any business is investing 300,000 USD, they are getting Golden Visa, and that's a very easy way. If any business from Malaysia wants to invest into something smaller or just start with trading, they can apply for normal visa. Normal business visa, it's a very simple process. They could get it from our embassy very fast. The process itself is very, very easy, not complicated. So I don't think there's any problem in terms of bureaucracy to get engaged with Kazakhstan market.
Let's talk about transportation right now. And earlier you mentioned we are, of course, distant in terms of the actual distance of both countries. But in a recent meeting that you had with the president of the Malaysian Railways Corporation, you also had touched on freight and passenger transport. How can you envision Kazakhstan and Malaysia working together in developing something that is sustainable and efficient when we look at railway corridors?
It is a very interesting question, because Malaysian economy in terms of transportation and logistics is based on maritime type of transport. And Kazakhstan being a landlocked country, our core of our economy is railroad. So we are trying to convert our landlockedness to landlinkness, and we try to connect our economy to China, Russia, through Caspian Sea, Trans-Caspian connectivity. We call it mid-corridor connection. We connect to the south, and then we come to Malaysia. Malaysia, in recent years, I've been here for 4.5 years, and I saw myself the growing industry of railroad. It's becoming something more important for Malaysian economy, and I was very glad to see the ASEAN Express train that started from Malaysia, from Selangor, and connected it to China in, I think, 7 to 10 days. And this is just the beginning, it's pilot, and depending on how this type of transport is negotiated with other ASEAN countries like Thailand, Laos, and China, Kazakhstan can connect to Malaysia through railway, because we are very well connected to China through our dry port. We call it dry port, and we have one and building another one with China. China, on its turn, is connected to ASEAN, to Malaysia, and that would be a very sustainable and fast and competitive way of bringing goods and maybe tourists at some point to Kazakhstan.
At some point, because and beyond, because as of recently as well, there has been initiative to boost ties between Malaysia and Central Asian Republic, which is of course Kazakhstan. Launch of direct flights between Kuala Lumpur and Almaty, which is Kazakhstan's largest city in the country. To tell us a little bit about that frequency and how that has, what that take-up rate has been.
Yes, AirAsia was actually the first Malaysian air company to start flying direct flights to Kazakhstan, and that was very good. It started last March 2024 with 4 flights a week, which is already a very good frequency for countries like us. But this year they already started flying 5 times a week. And I believe the flight is very convenient for a lot of people, not only from Kazakhstan and Malaysia, because we can see people from all over ASEAN and Australia traveling to our part of the world and further to Europe. And that's the best example on how Malaysia and Kazakhstan can connect the whole world together.
Well, this year, of course, a lot of focus and discussion on ASEAN, as Malaysia is the ASEAN Chair 2025. With what's happening globally and the shifting dynamics of geopolitics, Your Excellency, how does Kazakhstan view ASEAN's role and Malaysia's role in further fostering stability within the region?
Absolutely. ASEAN has started as an economic instrument, and I believe personally that this type of instrument is key in preserving the stability and peace in the region. ASEAN has been doing a great job, and Kazakhstan has been looking at ASEAN and the experience, and we want to develop the same mechanism in Central Asia, and we wish ASEAN all the best. And Malaysia did a tremendous job this year as a chairman. And one of the, the best example, and kudos to Malaysian government and Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, in resolving the Cambodia and Thailand conflict. It was done very prompt and very effective. And this is the best example how region could be very stable with these instruments as ASEAN.
Now, from that as well, Malaysia has become increasingly interesting as a destination for Kazakh students, with close to 2,000 applications since 2020. That's just a 5-year time frame. What factors do you think are driving this growing interest in our local education system among young Kazakhs?
Malaysia has been one of the most interesting country for families to send their children for education even before COVID lockdown. I remember the statistics was around 7,000 Kazakh students all across Malaysia. And the biggest factor is this high quality of education. Malaysian education system is very, very developed. English language, double diploma. Second factor, maybe its first factor, is security. The children, the students here in Malaysia are very, very safe, both in terms of physical safety, plus climate, plus good food, and very nice nature to travel. So I think this all adds up to getting Malaysia very, very popular for Kazakh students.
What would you say of how would it be difficult for them to assimilate within the community? Has it been easy? And perhaps you could walk us down a bit of your experience here in Malaysia after 4.5 years as well. What has really stood out for you, and how do you think they can feel at ease in Malaysia?
To me personally, the journey in Malaysia has been very, very smooth and pleasant, because there's a lot of common things in not only in our political and economical structure, but also in cultural. Malaysia and Kazakhstan are very, very diversified culturally. Majority of population are Muslims, and the harmony and mutual respect is a major factor in our societies. This, I think, makes Malaysia very popular and very smooth for anyone from any country to visit. And as I see and I talk to Kazakh students, they all find it very convenient to live and study in Malaysia, and they all love it.
That's right. And what's not to love about the food, if I could blow our own horn there. Your Excellency, what are your hopes for the future of Kazakhstan-Malaysia relations in the next 10 years?
I hope that our political dimension of our partnership is amazing and perfect. I wanted to keep it this way. I'm sure that it's going to only develop in the next 10 years. My big hopes are to economic relations, and that's, I think, the basic factor for this is awareness. The more our businesses, Kazakh and Malaysian businesses know about two markets, this type of partnership will grow. And I believe there is a tremendous potential for that. The cultural exchange should go. I mean, there is a growing number of tourists, a growing number of students exchange. This will bring people-to-people connection. Not only in bilateral terms, but I hope that ASEAN and Central Asia will develop some sort of platform, a dialogue platform, so that not only in bilateral country to country, but important region to important region, issues and potential would be discussed and implemented into life.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for
Terima
making
kasih.
time.
Thank you very much.
Well, today's conversation with His Excellency has given us a deeper understanding of how the relationship between Malaysia and Kazakhstan continues to grow stronger, driven by shared values, economic cooperation, and cultural exchange. It's a reminder that diplomacy is not just about agreements, it's about building bridges that last for generations. I'm Jessie Chahal. I'll see you again on the Diplomatic Dispatch, where diplomacy meets direction. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope